Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another jam-packed episode of Silver Screen, the only show to delve into the business behind films and filmmaking. I'm your host, Robert Haynes, and with me, as always, is the lovely
Krotoa,
and, of course,
First up, some international movie and box office news. It's a great weekend for Warner Brothers, which saw Annabelle Creation, the latest installment in the Conjuring franchise, topping the American box office with $35 million US, and that's delivering nearly $24 million US, more than the runner-up. So this is the fourth feature in the Conjuring franchise, which continues to deliver each time it comes out.
The amazing thing about this franchise is the fact that these films are so sort of small budgeted. They're just above the micro budget level. So you've got films that are essentially in the $5 to $10 to $15 million bracket that are doing these kind of numbers, which, if you think about it, is a great return on investment.
Well, internationally, the film brought in an estimated $35 million from 39 markets for an overseas cum totaling $36.7 million.
It's pretty incredible for a franchise, as I said, that's budgeted so small. Again, the horror genre, I know you know that I'm a horror junkie, but the horror genre is still, it's one of those genres where the return on investment is brilliant. You can spend next to nothing on a film. You think about back in the day, you go back to the late 70s, early 1980s, you had the Friday the 13th franchise. The original Friday the 13th was made, I think it was on a budget of $600,000 US. Paramount picked it up, churned it out to 1,100 screens back in the day. The film made $65 million US off 600 grand. Never mind the fact that it's over $1 billion franchise internationally off a tiny little film that made 600 grand. Now, on that note, American director James Ivory is struggling to interest investors in his latest project. Now, this is the man who directed Remains of the Day and Howard's End, so he's no slouch. The problem is, it seems, lies with his writer, the venerable William Shakespeare, of all people. For more than 5 years, James Ivory's been trying in vain to raise money for a cinema adaptation of Richard II, despite 50 years of critical acclaim and Oscar recognition, plus British actors Tom Hiddleston and Damian Lewis lined up to star in his production. Financiers are still refusing to part with their money. You know times are tough when even bankable stars and a bankable director cannot interest financiers in their film.
So it's just about the money and not necessarily about the story, because he's saying people think it's a great idea.
Totally.
But there's no money.
But this is a guy who directed Remains of the Day and Howard's End. He's a 3-time Oscar winner, this man, and he cannot find funding for £15 million, which is what, 23 million US dollars.
Do you think it goes back to our earlier discussions about the fact that unless it's not part of a certain template, which is what Hollywood is currently going for, then investors are going to be a little bit wary about its success? So unless it's a franchise or a well-known template of a folding out of a certain film, then investors are just not keen. Tom Cruise may have suffered an injury while performing a stunt for Mission Impossible 6. Video taken on the London set shows the actor jumping from the building to another, falling short of his mark. That must have been painful. Cruise appears to have hit the building hard and is shown limping away after getting back on his feet.
The 55-year-old, yes, he is 55, has a history of doing his own stunts with his Mission Impossible Rogue Nation plane sequence, even serving as a key point in the film's marketing. The opening scene featured Cruise's Ethan Hunt hanging onto an Airbus 400 as it taxis down a runway and eventually takes off.
Let's be honest, at 55, he is starting to get...
But let's be honest,
yeah,
that is someone who takes his craft seriously. Do you know of the actors and actresses who actually just go and, I don't know, hey, so, you know what I mean? Like, come on, Rob. Like, that guy is awesome. Like, he puts a lot of work in,
like,
you know what I mean?
What we say.
We clearly have a Tom Cruise fan next to us.
This conversation must end because we're not going anywhere here.
No, but I mean, still, can I get a yes? Can I get an amen?
You know what? You can get a yes from me. I respect the fact that he does his own stunts, but by the same token, it is time to maybe hang that stunt belt up for a little bit, just so that he can let his bones recover.
He's just having fun. It's not about proving himself. Let him have fun. Come on.
Yeah, until he breaks a hip.
Now, one of the initiatives that was launched at this year's DIF was SWIFT, Sisters Working in Film and Television. And since it's Women's Month, we thought it only appropriate that we get them in studio. So with me, I have Zoe Ramushu, who's from SWIFT. Did I say your surname wrong?
Ramushu.
There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us in studio today. Let's start talking a little bit about what SWIFT is and what prompted you to start this organization.
So the organization was launched at DIF last year in 2016. We officially took a year to basically, we didn't want to prescribe or dictate what women's issues were. We wanted to actually take a year to gather info from different women, varying ages and experiences and backgrounds, in order for us to be able to understand what the issues women are truly experiencing are. So it just started with a small group of women after it was just the last day of the festival, and they came together, sat together, and then, basically that's where SWIFT was born. And we've taken this entire year where every month we have monthly meetings, but in them we've been assessing the needs of what is it that women want. And a lot of the things that, the main pointers of what came up were that we need skills and mentorship. We need women to be able to assist other women, because unfortunately the industry has been very male dominated, and a man will find a young guy, show him the ropes and allow him to enter into the industry. As women, we haven't had that opportunity, and so it's so necessary for us to actively do it. I'm sure there's lots of women who do that, but it has to be a conscious effort for us to allow other women into the industry. And then we have our advocacy committee, which I think we want to discuss, and I'd love to discuss, which basically advocates for the safety of women and anything to do with discrimination. We wanted to see what is it that women want us to advocate for. We have screenings, which is our sisterhood cinema. That's amazing, and we want to make sure that the films that women shoot are screened, are seen, because a lot of films just find themselves on the back burner, and they just don't have the right marketing, they don't have that exposure, they don't have that ability to be screened. And so we screen films by women, for women, with women narratives that are strong, with strong characters, strong writers. And it's so important for us to be able to see that women excellence is not a myth,
I want to go back to a point you made earlier in terms of women being able to actively participate in the film and television industry.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard for women? You've mentioned that men mentor each other,
yes,
and there should be that kind of mentoring for women as well. So where is that gap? Why is it so difficult for women to get in?
I think it's a twofold thing. Like we said, it's easier naturally to see someone who you identify with, who's like you, and say, oh, let me help you, let me assist you, let me mentor you. And it has been a male-dominated industry for a very, very, very long time. But secondly, it's something that came up in our survey that we did the research. There's a lot of perception that women just aren't as capable, and especially behind the camera in terms of crew. In our survey we had women who've experienced a man saying to them, oh, but you won't understand that, you're a girl, and it's just a perception that, needs to be changed, that women are able to do just as much as the next man, and it's a reality. And some of the comments we received in the survey were ridiculous. You'd think that somebody scripted that, but literally stuff like, you are a girl, so you wouldn't understand that. Oh, this area is a little bit technical, so it might be a bit difficult for you.
Now I want you to help me break down this perception that you've spoken about, or the myth.
Yes.
Being a part of SWIFT, interacting with young female producers, directors, technicians, the like, what kind of work are they putting together? What are you seeing?
Well, I think that the nice thing about SWIFT is also that we're not just young women, which is great. We've got women who've been in the industry for over 40 years. And so what I think is brilliant about the organization is just the relationships, the interactions that we have. So for example, a woman who is in her late 60s, say, and me, I'm in my late 20s, but we sit in the same room, we have discussions about what we share, what are our common experiences, and what are the experiences and struggles she has, which are different from my experiences. And the organization pushes to actually work at both ends of the spectrum, because there's issues that women have. For example, I keep bringing it back to this, but it's because we're very passionate about it at the moment. Our campaign, That's Not Okay, even women who are elderly to a certain extent or older, you know, you think that sexual harassment happens to young girls only, but no, even at the upper echelons of the industry, women still experience discrimination. They still experience harassment because they're a woman, you know, and it's not, your position doesn't protect you at times. You know, you think that maybe you've made it up, you're a CEO, but you'll still have someone come and speak to you in a certain way purely because you're a woman.
When I first saw the program, I'll be honest, I thought to myself, I never really thought that this is what women in this industry go through. You know, I mean, you hear about it in lots of other industries, in corporate South Africa in particular, you know, but you never really think that it's actually a systemic issue in general. So tell me a little bit about the origins of That's Not Okay, and also, you know, what you're trying to achieve through this campaign.
So, I mean, That's Not Okay was launched officially last week Saturday at the Mzansi Women's Film Festival, which was amazing. But where it was birthed is there's two brilliant young ladies, Nelisa Ngobo and Aliki Saragas, who head up our advocacy committee. And basically we had one of our monthly meetings where we sat down and discussed what are the issues that women are experiencing. And the most predominant issue was safety. You know, and so it led to what we did was we had a survey, a poll, a national poll where women could tell us, you know, to what extent do you feel safe at work? And I mean, the statistics were horrific. 78% of women said, who are working in the film and television industry, said that they don't feel safe at work, like safe from sexual harassment, as in, and of that, 55% said that they've witnessed someone being sexually harassed, and you know, of those, half of those women said that they were afraid to intervene because of fear of losing their jobs. We have to break that culture, and it's reflective of society in general, you know. It's not just the film industry that has that. It's just that at the moment for the film and television industry, a lot of women, because of the nature of the work, they're not actual employees. So there's that problematic nature of being a freelancer, in the sense that you don't have HR, you know, you don't have a channel of direct contact to say, this is what's happened to me. I mean, a lot of the time the director will be male, and so he's just going to tell you like, oh, well, I'm really sorry about that, but he doesn't know what to do either. And sometimes it's even a woman. We've had women who've expressed that someone has come and told me, like, this guy did 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3 to me, and it's just, oh, we just need to finish the production. Just hold on, sweetie. Let's make sure we keep him away from you, and let's just wrap, you know?
I mean, there are a lot of challenges that you guys are dealing with here as an organization. But finally, what's the way forward for SWIFT? I mean, some of the positive that you're hoping will come out of this organization in terms of uplifting women's role in film and television.
So I think the amazing thing about the organization, which is a positive, is the rallying support that we've received. I mean, across the board, from broadcasters to government, everybody has said this, you have identified a need and you're meeting it. And the amazing support of women across the board who've joined the cause and said that, look, we want to make a stance. And basic things down to masterclasses, you know what I mean? Allowing women to be able to learn things that they wouldn't have access to. Having a place for them to actually come and speak if there is any issues. Having a place where they feel that is their platform for their films, for their television programs to be acknowledged as well as celebrated. And I mean, I think those are the main positives of the organization. And I think it's really and truly a sisterhood. It's amazing. I've met so many amazing people through the organization, and the relationships that are formed there are invaluable.
Well, it's time now to take a quick look at the local box office numbers from last weekend. Robert?
Local film Krotoa opened in 9th with a solid 458 grand off 25 screens. It does sound like an interesting concept. It's essentially about a people who've really been explored, and that's the Khoisan. It's set in 1652, and the film stars Crystal Donna Roberts in the title role and Armand Okamp.
Eva. Krotoa. Eva. Krotoa. My naam is Krotoa.
Sy sal nie teleurstel nie. Ook nie haar mense nie.
Ek sal jou 'n nuwe naam moet gee. Ja. Nee.
Ons behandel hulle soos here en wat maak hulle? Hulle steel ons vee terug.
Dit raak al hoe moeiliker om met jou oom Harry te onderhandel. Jy moet help. Ek het 'n tolk nodig. Nie net iemand wat beide tale kan praat nie, maar iemand wat beide groepe van binne af ken.
Ons het iemand daar binne nodig wat ons oë en ore kan wees.
Ja, Eva is terug.
Jy klink Hollands. Jy het Hollandse klere aan, maar jy eet seevye en weet van kooipossies. Ek ken niemand anders soos jy nie.
Die tyd het skool wat aan die Krotoa kyk keise.
Van Meerhof! Hoe durf jy?
Hy het niks gedoen wat ek het toegelaat het.
Sy het een van hulle geword. Hulle noem haar Eva.
Jy het jou mense bedrieg.
Jy het jouself en jou stam onteer.
Jy het my hier gelos. Alleen en ek was nog net 'n kind.
Jou mense het jou verwerp. Hoekom wil jy hulle beskerm?
Hulle is my bloed. Laat my uit! Ek kan nie goed wanneer sit down! Ek het my hele lewe vra. Krotoa! Krotoa!
There's been some real movement at the top 3 pole positions at the box office this week, so we're going to focus our attention there.
So in third place, Dunkirk's troops marched their way to the 1.6 million rand mark for a solid cumulative total of 5.7 million rand, and that's just in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I must be honest, I'm still keen to have a look at this one, even though Chris, who you guys weren't here for last week's show, Chris popped in from Forbes magazine to review Dunkirk. I asked him if he was there. Because he was incredibly passionate. He was incredibly passionate about the film. But I mean, Christopher Nolan is he's such a great filmmaker. So even though Chris wasn't keen on Christopher Nolan's film, he gave it a 6 out of 10. I'm still really keen on seeing it.
The shots in the film where you see one of the actors in a Spitfire, you know, just beyond them, another Spitfire.
That's the single coolest thing I've ever been involved in, is when you can look over and there is a Spitfire banking around next to you. We're flying over where it happened. I mean, ridiculous. It was absolutely insane.
There's really no way that you could create that in a computer.
That intimate physicality, that tiny cockpit.
He's on me!
To be in there for an hour or two, we really focused on that as being one of the most important aspects of the film. Putting the audience in that scene.
I'm on him.
Which was an extremely difficult thing to do.
You see these, amazing airplanes in beautiful natural light through the canopy of the Spitfire and the other plane in the sky, shot on IMAX entirely in camera. It's not something you've seen before.
And in second place, Baby Driver kicked off with a so-so start, just 2.3 million rand off 86 screens.
I'm looking at some of the country's finest thugs. And of course, young Mozart in a go-kart over there. People love great bank robbery stories. So let's give them something bold, shameless, and brazen as to talk about over their lattes. Baby Driver is about a group of sociopaths, psychopaths, nut jobs, and Baby.
Baby is an exceptional getaway driver.
I used to listen to music all the time.
He had an accident when he was a kid. Still has a hum in the drum. Plays music to drown it out.
That's what makes him the best. The entire movie moves to the sound of his soundtrack.
All of the bank robberies and all of the film is driven by the music.
You seen this kid move?
He's the best the Doc has ever seen.
He must be gifted.
In this group of ruthless criminals, you have this innocent kid.
He literally sits as far away from them as he can because he doesn't really want to be part of the group.
What are you listening to?
Music. That's right. You tell him, baby. There's a lot of conflicted feelings in his relationships with what he does.
Baby is a worthy hero. He doesn't want anyone to get hurt. One more job and I'm done.
One more job and we're straight. Doc and Baby end up having a relationship that's almost father-like. You're the best in the business. And I'm not doing this job without you. But he's a tough leader. He likes everyone to do their job and to shut the f up.
Hey, watch your mouth.
So what's it gonna be? Behind the wheel or in a wheelchair?
I had to drive again. It's not what I want.
And what do you want?
To get out of here.
Are we in bed together now? With all this chaos going on, love rules him.
Time to make a big boy decision. Do we do this thing or not?
I have to end this.
South African audiences have never really embraced Edgar Wright's material, from Shaun of the Dead through to Hot Fuzz and World's End. His films have never really set our box office alight. Personally, I don't know why. It just seems that his style doesn't seem to connect with local audiences.
And in the top spot this week, it's a girls' trip with Regina Hall and Queen Latifah, which opened very well with just under 2.5 million rand, and that's all 59 screens for a very solid screen average of 40,000.
Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day of life. My heart is so full of joy for these women right here. Lord, please make sure that Lisa don't get an STD and that nobody has kidney failure, because we finna get messed up, and let me get pregnant by somebody rich. That's all I ask. Amen.
We haven't hung in 5 years. I miss you guys. We need a girls' trip.
That's my car.
Not anymore, baby.
What if I just whip out my titties, you know? Okay, a titty.
I'll take a titty for a bike ride.
You sure you want to get turned this weekend with your girls?
I say this out of love.
Preach, girl.
If you are going to come along with us, please refrain from saying things like preach or go girl or any other colloquialisms that you may have looked up on Urban Dictionary.
Girl, bye. That's my girl.
This weekend is about us. We deserve this. So let's go.
Yeah. Destiny said that you gotta get up and get it.
I have to pee.
Look, the line is short over there. There's a long line in the bathroom here. Just go for it.
Stop taking that picture!
How much did she drink?
Hell no. I've known about this for a few months now, but that's in the past. This picture was taken last night.
We need to talk.
There ain't nothing you need to say to her that you can't say in front of us.
Take my stun gun. Just tag him in the balls.
Today is the last day that we will ever be this young.
I have not had this much fun in so long.
Wait. I got what you need right here. This is 200-year-old abstinence. If you drink too much of it, it's gonna have you hallucinate.
Do y'all feel funny? Feel me, y'all feel me.
You coming to get me, God?
You put something in them drinks, didn't you?
You know I got some bomb-ass kush if you want to take a hit.
Where did you hide?
Where the sun don't shine.
You know what? It can cause a lot of infection.
Girl, you can't get no infection in your booty hole. It's a booty hole.
Well, ladies and gents, I think that about wraps it up for tonight's show. Another jam-packed episode. Remember to email us, silverscreen@abn360.com. You can also tweet us using the hashtag silverscreen @CNBC Africa. From myself, Robert.
And myself, Ropiwa.
Yeah, me too.
It's ciao for now, and we'll see you at the movies.